when I'm teaching and I'm in my room and I'm calling out names and I'm back on my mat, and then I sometimes highlight someone's screen and be like, everyone look at so-and-so really quick. Let's try it like this. Or who can demo this for me tonight? And I'll highlight that screen. My heart for the practice, my heart for teaching doesn't know the difference. It just says right now I am doing the thing that I love and I'm connecting with the people that I love.
That was Danny Pomploon, and I'm Rocky Heron. Welcome to Dharma Dudes.
Hey, Rocky.
Hey there, Danny-O.
We got a new episode of Dharma Dudes this week.
Yeah, that's right, Danny-O. Coming at you live.
No, coming at you live. I like that. That was good.
Oh, yeah. No, that's how I talk on the podcast now. We're all adapting and changing to our current challenges. And for me, it's meant the emergence of this new guy that records podcasts, baby.
So this week we had our first live episode, and that was super fun. And Rocky and I we got into a little bit more about of our energy and what we're doing with it. And then we took some live questions from our audience members, which was super sweet and super fun.
Indeed. We talk about how we've been, all joking aside, how we have been adapting our energy and maybe personalities and offerings to meet the demands of the day. So I enjoyed this conversation with you, and I enjoyed getting to hang out with our Insta crew, and it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a really good time. Rocky, I was just thinking about you. I know you have this coming weekend, you have a workshop that I want to pop into. You're doing sequencing. Can you tell me more about it?
I sure can. I'm teaching on Yoga International. I'm teaching a weekend teacher tune-up on, we're calling it Smart and Creative Sequencing for yoga nerds, of which I am a proud member of the Yoga Nerd tribe.
Hey,
yeah, I think it's been nice to really connect with community and dive into the practices that we all really need right now to stay nourished and grounded. But I know for the yoga nerds out there that want to continue to learn and up-level their toolkit and continue to deepen their studies, I wanted to offer something that could give us a chance to do what it is that we love to do most, which is to continue learning together. So that'll be May 15th through the 17th over on Yoga International.
Holla. And if you can't make it to Rocky's sequencing thing, I'm offering on May 31st a restorative workshop. So it'll be an hour and a half practice at the start. And then at the end, there'll be another hour and a half event for teachers to learn how to teach restorative and to understand it a bit deeper. So we'll link to both of those things down in the show notes.
Do them both.
Do them both. Just before we forget to, if you like the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help support the show. And I think, I don't know, should we do it, Rocky? Should we move into the episode?
I don't know. Let's do it. Let's get into that podcast, baby.
Here goes this week's episode of Dharma Dudes. Rocky!
Day and night's a moaning, keeping me
in the moment. Please don't sue us for suing this on the podcast.
What are you talking
Welcome to Dharma Dudes. This is our theme song. So, Rocky, this is weird and random because we're live on Instagram.
We record Dharma Dudes with these mics called Yetis.
We're live on Instagram, and then we're also recording this podcast episode. So, this is a first. How do you feel about it?
I feel good about it. I definitely feel really heard, and I feel really seen.
Yeah.
and as someone that, it's very important to me that I feel heard and seen. It's interesting to note that in this instance, it feels a little overwhelming. Be careful what you wish. Thank you. That actually confirmation that it's business as usual.
For those of you,
was that a fresh buzz?
A fresh fade. Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Buzzing your head is kind of my thing, but I support you doing it too.
Okay.
I see on our little podcast recording things that your volume is much louder than mine.
I'm just louder.
Well, I think what it is, Danny, and I'm glad that our viewers can finally confirm that Danny does indeed possess a windscreen while I am on screen. So I tend to sit back a little bit from the microphone so as not to disrupt the recording with excess.
Oh my God. Okay, so for those of you that are, those of you that are here on Instagram.
I saw my volume go up when I did that, by the way.
I'm sure you did, Rocky. I'm sure. We all saw it. We're all here.
I did. Are we also live streaming the recording, the Zoom Zencaster? They're all seeing that too.
Can we?
Yeah, 1 second. Okay.
So for those people that are here on Instagram and they're tuning in, we are kind of doing a live Q&A today. So we figured we'd let some of the topics come from you guys. Some of the stuff that me and Rocky wanted to talk about was our energy, specifically, like different types of energy that we have.
Mine's crazy.
What'd you say?
I said mine's crazy.
You're crazy, Rocky. You're so crazy. And we wanted to talk to how we're, essentially just using our life force, our prana during this time. And that's different types of energy. So, let's get started, Rocky. Let's talk about it. What have you been doing with all your energy? What have you been doing with all your prana right now?
Where to begin?
Mm-hmm. Sky says it's all about the energy. See, she knows what's up.
Who's that? Oh, that's Sky's the limit. That's a he. But you know what? We don't see gender here on the live stream.
Because we can't see that.
Can't see. Yeah, I don't see identity or gender when I'm on live stream. What have I been doing with my energy? Well, there's sort of different buckets of energy that are reserved for different buckets of my life. Like there's work and career bucket. There's creativity bucket. There's just like personal work. By work, I mean like just my own kind of reflective process of tending to my energy. There's the physical bucket. There's the social bucket, and there's the there's also the Nantucket bucket, which I think we all know what that one's full of, or not full of at the moment.
Right.
Oops.
Right.
So yeah, I think I vacillate between being sort of hyper focused and hyper creative right now. I'm someone that tends to do pretty well with filling my alone time with projects that are fulfilling to me. And I do tend to also work kind of well in a crisis, it turns out, just in terms of like meeting the demands of what needs to be done. But I'm also aware of like the need to kind of let our energy be what it is and let it process what's happening in the way it needs to without trying to mold it in a particular direction. So
sure,
my energy's all over, but overall it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good. What about you?
I feel like every day is different, obviously. So some days are really good. Some days are really bad. Mm-hmm. But like I think I said this on the last episode where I did the most and then felt like I was basically, well, I mean, I might've done the most before you, but it's fine.
So doing the most is kind of your thing, actually. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, that's fine. And so I kind of hit this like little, like I felt like I was about to hit a wall of mini burnout. And so I decided to pause and give myself a couple of days off. And it was really just about, like I said in the last episode that we did, just getting everything on board. And then I started teaching the schedule that I set. And within like the end of week 1, beginning of week 2 of doing that, like my body just physically hurt. We teach yoga and we do parts of it when we teach public classes, but when you're live streaming, you're demoing 99.9% of it. And so I had to really hit pause at the end of that week and drop some more classes and, figure out what I was going to do to nurture. And I can't do the things that I normally do, like go to cryo, which really helps me out. I go do the float tanks, which is extremely helpful for my muscles. I can't go get massages right now.
I thought you were going into the shower and doing a cryo, like having a good cryo. That's what I thought you were saying.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that too. That happens daily. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's still
cheap.
You can still do
cheap
that,
pink
right?
wine in the shower, cold as I can get it. Just
rosé and weep.
Yep. That's how I do it. I can't do all the things that I was doing before. And so I've had to really look at my schedule and see what it is that I can do to really nurture myself. And one of the things that I've been turning to a lot is restorative. I've been teaching restorative now for a little while, but now just practicing it in my own home has been a whole different ballgame in itself. So I've been practicing a lot more restorative than actually I have been vinyasa classes outside of like demoing. And then we talked about this yesterday, but I've been doing a lot more strength conditioning and just thinking about how I can support the structures of my body versus just like flinging my body around and keeping going in vinyasa.
Yeah.
So getting a little more diligent as to my own routines at home and how I'm taking care of myself, how I'm managing my energy here at home.
Yeah. Well, and it's the things that we did before that we needed to maintain were relative to a very different context of what our lives looked like before. So if everything kind of changes in terms of how we're offering our services, how we're relating with the world, how we're using our bodies, our practices also have to adapt, I suppose. I actually really enjoyed what you posted the other day, just a little lower back reminder of like, make sure you fire your posterior chain. If you're if you're sitting around all day long, as I've been, I don't even have like a desk where I work. I sit on the floor, I sit in my bed. I mean, I'm in my boudoir at the moment. My low back's been hurting. I've never really been someone that's suffered from like chronic low back pain. But wouldn't you know it, I got right on my hands and knees and I went ahead and did them hip abductions with Danny Pomfloon, and I got up feeling right as rain in my lumbar spine. So yeah, there's new kind of physical challenges that I'm encountering, and there's definitely kind of a moving target, I think, of figuring out how to adapt what it is that we do.
What are you doing to keep your energy balanced?
Well, there's what I'm doing, and then there's what works. I don't know that how balanced my energy is on a day-to-day basis. But I will say, I'm sure you can relate to this. Like, I do my rise and shine sessions in the morning. Oh, I already lost you. Well, I was going to say, ultimately, it's connecting with community and helping in the ways that I can. And I know that's something that you wouldn't particularly understand. So how can I put this? Yeah, I think showing up in the ways that I can. Every morning when I wake up, there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to go live. I don't want to do this. Just real talk. Because it's something that I've committed to doing. And so it's something that I'm obliged to do on the days that I am. And I have my own relationship with just being obliged to do anything. But every single day when I start the live stream and go through my own kind of process of bringing myself online and doing that with other people, by the time I finish, I feel quite balanced, and it feels good to be starting my days out with others, and just sort of having a daily check-in with people. Even yesterday, I usually start with something kind of energizing or some flow, sun salutations or mobility work. And yesterday, all I really wanted to do was restorative. And I was like, it might be a weird thing to do first thing in the morning, but let's do some restorative together. And I tell you what, when I came out of those poses, I was like, if this wasn't the most nourishing thing I could have done for my body, then I don't know what is. So I don't know what is. I'll tell you, if restorative yoga ain't just the sweetest thing I ever did, I don't know what is.
Oh gosh.
So the point is, restorative yoga is now my thing.
It's not my thing anymore.
No. Absolutely not.
I'll put that on the Google Doc.
But yeah, Danny and I have a Google Doc going where we just try to keep tabs on whose thing is whose, because I could have sworn all those things were my thing. It's fine.
Google Docs are my thing, just so we're aware.
So on the Google Doc, it says Google Docs are Danny's things.
Right.
Got it. Well, that's one of the things I've been doing to balance my energy, is just nitpicking over who does things first with Danny. I feel like I'm answering the question. Yeah, I think, well, I'll tell you, yesterday I disobeyed orders and went outside and got in nature, and I rolled around in some grass, and I found a trail that had no people on it and went on a little hike. And that was tremendous. I think what to sincerely answer the question, what I've been attempting to do with varying degrees of success, but but I have been mostly consistent is taking frequent breaks, movement breaks, and movement. Sometimes it's like the way I move my body, like actually going outside and walking, like moving through space.
Yeah, for sure.
Because part of that, I realize it's not just about getting outside. It's about using my brain differently, you know, listening to sounds that are coming in from far away, looking far distances. I go up on my roof and I do like little neurological exercises where I look as far as I can in all directions, and you know, nerdy stuff like that. But I find that being inside, looking at stuff up close, using my body in particular ways, that's the thing that gets sort of relentless. And so being able to continue to explore novelty in the way I'm taking in the world is the most sort of balancing thing for my nervous system and for my energy at this time.
I love that. I didn't think about that, about not only just breaking up the physical body, but also the mental body, you know, as far as like exercising different, you know, like sight.
Did you ever read the Move Your DNA book by Katie Bauman?
I actually, it's funny. It's out right now. It's one of the things that I'm reviewing right now.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Now that's funny.
Yeah. I just said that.
That's why all of our viewers are laughing at home.
Everyone is laughing.
Or just lolling.
Giggling. Cackle.
A cackle even.
Yeah.
I say. Well, that book, and also she has a collection of essays called Movement Matters. And that was really the first person that I heard, you know, the first resource that I found that got me thinking about movement as more than just a whole body endeavor, but like the muscles that move your eyes and calibrate your pupils and that you use to look far versus look close, the different ways the movement as a cellular phenomenon, and it sort of crossfades between like how our practice affects our mood. You know, you can show up and move your body in these different ways, and that unlocks can kind of free up stuck energy in the way that your mind has been processing and churning over your day, and so on. So I try to find novel opportunities to move in subtle and not so subtle ways.
I've been thinking in general just about my physical energy is one thing, right? So making sure that I'm like, you know, working from home is a brand new thing.
Yeah.
Being here all the time and having to work from home. So keeping myself organized is one thing, but then having even like a time schedule at home, like, okay, make sure that I get a workout in, make sure that, you know, you can get caught up on that cycle of like, well, you're at home, so you could be working all the time, right? So like make sure that work hours are like from this to this. And then after that is a break time to go outside. And putting myself to bed early has been like one of the things that's been either my saving grace or not my saving grace, because I've either followed through with it or I've not followed through with it, right? But I could stay up and easily get, you know, caught up in my laptop and, you know, this and this, or even, you know, reading a book or, you know, writing a sequence or whatever it is. That, and also, you know, really, it's kind of, you know, another thing that I've been coming back to a lot is just like breath work, you know, like really finding ways to stimulate the subtle energy in my body, the prana in my body, to continue to do the thing every single day. So I go back to, you know, my Kundalini Kriya, you know, every morning, which for me right now, that really sustains me in Come on, Kriya, in a both physical way and also an energetic way as well. Like it really allows me to tune in and to, you know, feel connected, to feel really fully present. And I can tell what happens. You know, I mean, I recently just had a day where I woke up and I didn't do the thing in the morning, and I felt it later on. I was like, why am I so grumpy? Why am I short? You know, and I didn't do the thing that I know was going to sustain me that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, to me, yoga and our yoga practices, there was a time where I was sort of, I guess, more eager to be prescribed different things to do, you know, by well-meaning authority figures or teachers, like this is what your practice is. And I think the more I've learned about yoga and physiology and so much of what we do, I tend to treat it like an experiment. You know, what happens if I do this? What happens if I don't do this? What happens when I try it this way? What happens when I try it that way? Sometimes there's more specific goals I'm trying to achieve. And so I you know, will call upon the knowledge that I have to facilitate that goal. But
sure.
we are living in we are living in unprecedented times. And so the experiment continues of what of these practices do I need to pull from on a daily basis in order to calibrate to this, which is a new place. So it's the adaptation practices. We're being called upon to adapt. And I guess it's easy for some in moments like this to forget or to kind of cast aside the practices as maybe being more self-indulgent or being less pressing in terms of what needs to be focused on now. And I think the reminder is always, to your point, that now maybe more than ever is when we need, now like the present moment is always the time when these practices are to be put into action and put into practice. Sure. So yeah, I think like things that maybe would have worked for me before, work differently for me now. For example, I've been finding that I facilitate a meditation practice in the morning, but personally, I've been doing more of my meditation in the evenings or even in the late afternoons, and that seems to be like the sweet spot for me to take a break in the middle of my day and go there, as opposed to doing it first thing. Mm-hmm. And it's neither here nor there, but just there's a different need sort of emerging, and I'm trying to ride the wave of that.
What was it beforehand versus now? I mean, you gave the meditation as an example, but anything else?
Well, I think this isn't so much about my yoga practice, but I think from as someone that used to travel and teach, I would teach online and stuff, but that was always done. I would travel to a location to film those classes, or travel and teach live in-person events. So when I would come home, my home was sort of my sanctuary or my private space. Right. Like if I was home, that meant I was off, save for like the clients that I work with, a couple of times a week, if I do, or the work I'm doing behind the scenes. So it's an interesting paradox. I think we've talked about this, but and I'm not complaining in any way. It's a beautiful thing that I'm very grateful for. But I've had the good fortune of teaching some of the largest classes of my life in the last few weeks, where thousands of people are tuning in and practicing with me. Right. Which I'm honored to be able to be in that role. And it's also really weird because like I'm at home, I'm by myself. Mermaid's here, but I'm alone in a room practicing in the space that normally I practice by myself. Mm-hmm. And just the paradox of both being kind of isolated and in this private space for me, and it also being seen by so many people and like welcoming so many people into my space. Right. So if anything, I think I'm restructuring my relationship with my home, where there's a part of my home now, like my living room is now kind of like the filming room, and except for this, and it doesn't feel so much like my sanctuary. It feels more like I'm sharing it. So I'm having to learn how to create boundary around my life, around technology, around work, around
the
exposure.
Energy of your home.
Yeah, because what was once sort of a protected, safe space for me, which still is now it's made available to more people. And I think that's true of technology too. Like we all know that everyone's with their phones all the time now. So there's say boundary. There's more of a boundary that I'm finding I need to put into effect in terms of like technology. Just as you said, I started out this quarantine like going to bed at like 10 p.m. every night, sleeping like 8-9 hours. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And like it's gradually creeped later and later and later because the vortex of to-dos. Yeah, well, whether it's entertainment or work, like I've had to learn kind of what are the hours that I'm working, when are the hours that I'm not, and when is my home and my body available to the world, and when is it?
One of my TT students, actually, this last session that we did online, she had said something that I fell in love with. But what she's been doing to, protect her energy, is when the day is done, when she is done with whatever it is that she has to do, she lights a candle as a ritual. And when the candle is on, or when she lights the candle, it means the work stuff is over and now it's sacred time, you know, whether the candle stays on or not for how long, you know, whatever. But it's this way of being like, okay, that part of the day is done. Now it's time to clear the space, clear the energy in the room, and then continue on, you know, whatever else. I love that. I love that. I love that. I normally always have a candle burning in my house, but now to do it with a little more purpose and intention feels really nice. It's a great, I mean, I think ritual and anything is really important, you know, but
for me, that's been my phone shifting into night mode at 8 p.m. Like once my screen has gone into night mode, then I try not to.
Once the blue lights on your phone shut off, it's time to be done.
Because then I can't edit pictures. Then I can't really see anything properly. So we're done here. But candle's a little bit more intentional, I suppose.
I mean, I'm not knocking your night mode thing. I'm just saying, you know.
Don't knock the night mode, dude.
Should we take some questions, Rocky?
Yeah, let's hear from the folks.
Folks on Instagram.
I'm sure everyone's just been dying to write your questions in.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, write them in. You can what am I trying to say? You can comment in the comment box on Instagram, and we will answer said question live.
Got it. That was easy.
Yeah. No questions. Okay, cool. That's it. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, see you later. I told Danny, I was like, the reason I rarely do the Q&A or like even those things on the Instagram, whatever it is, just like the
questions.
Yeah, you can like, because I'm always afraid I'm going to say like, hey, ask me whatever you want. It's going to be crickets. Like, no.
That's case in point.
Yeah, exactly. Just this. So basically, this is my biggest fear come to life. Just kidding. My biggest fear is octopus, as I shared recently.
Octopus?
Yeah, I'm afraid of octopi.
Oh, Danielle's got a question for us. Have you ever felt disconnected from your practice? How did you reconnect? Oh, that's a good one. I love that.
You want to take it?
Yes, I have felt. The question was, have you ever felt disconnected from your practice, and how did you reconnect? All the time. So my practice shifts in many different ways. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes it's more subtle. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. It just depends on where I'm at in life and what I need from it. And, we're no stranger to this. I can work really hard and a lot. And so I just forget. So I'll plow through whatever it is, project, whatever. I'll see the task and I forget that I have to sustain myself doing the thing. So what a lot of it for me tends to be is called out. I have humans in my life like Rocky and, my teachers and whatnot, and they'll just be like, yo, you're out of alignment or, whatever it is. And it's time for me to stop. People on my team are very good at seeing the signs of when we're going into like way more work mode and I stop studentship. And so to really keep myself, like this is what I was just saying earlier, to really keep myself grounded, I have to make sure that I keep my morning ritual. I have to make sure that I do my lemon water, that I do no phone time in the morning, that I do, sacred text reading in the morning, that I journal in the morning, because that's what keeps me connected. And then I tell myself all the time, like, if I'm not doing one of the things that I know that are going to keep me in integrity, I'll tell myself to somebody and then, readdress it and go where I need to go from there. Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Blue Blocks, the advanced blue light filtering eyewear. If you've seen me on Instagram or on social media, not just recently, but for a bit now, I've been wearing these glasses, even though I don't wear glasses, but they are these awesome clear frame glasses that help with eye strain. I work for my computer a lot. I end up editing a ton of videos for the app. I do a ton of stuff for the podcast, and it's a great way to remove blue light that you don't need, which eventually helps you towards better sleep. I think it's the coolest thing in the whole wide world. For each pair of glasses sold, they donate one pair of reading glasses to someone that can use them, which is super rad. So go check out our friends over at blueblocks.com. That's BLUBLOX.com. And again, I've got the ones with the clear frames just because I'm on my computer all the time. Check out our friends over at blueblocks.com. Hey everybody, quick note. This episode is sponsored by Ladder. I have recently switched to their supplements. I found them online. I was looking for a really solid plant-based protein, and I absolutely love their stuff. It tastes really, really, really great. And you can check them out over at ladder.sport. Plus, if you use the code BETTEREVERYDAY, you get 30% off on your first order. Yeah, everything's site-wide, 30% off. Again, I'm super in love with the plant-based protein there. I use the vanilla, and sometimes I'll go crazy and use the chocolate. But go check it out, ladder.sport. Use the code BETTEREVERYDAY for 30% off.
So to answer your question, it's lemon water. Lemon water in the morning.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah, you're going to want to get that lemon water in first thing.
That's how you connect.
Yeah. By the way, we're going to edit out all of my laughter in post, because whenever we listen back to the podcast, I'm like, oh, so that's what I sound like? I guess I'll never laugh again. What was the question? How have we ever felt disconnected from our practice?
And how to reconnect?
Yeah, I mean, sure, all the time. It's also my idea of what my practice is moves around a lot. And I think the first thing to know, if that's the case, is like to be gentle with yourself. Like that's usually how I kind of it's always a combination, right? Of like kind of tough love, like the things that you are committed to and the things that you feel a sense of discipline around, or the things that require your discipline to stay active in your life. Like you have to kind of hold you got to be willing to do the thing when you don't feel like doing it.
Right.
And there's going to be time. Well, like, isn't that the balance? Like that seems to be what I keep talking to people about during this quarantine, is like, for a lot of folks, their physical practice or their fitness or their health or their sleep schedule, it's like, for a lot of people I know, they're like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't care right now. You know, I'm going to wake up when I wake up. I'm going to go to sleep when I go to sleep. I'm going to eat whatever I want. Like, I'm going to take a break from working out. Like, I just want to indulge. And I don't have, I saw a thing the other day that said, those people that are practicing every day, or that are like working on launching a new business, or getting their body in shape, those people are not intrinsically, those people don't possess any more intrinsic value than you do, if all you want to do is just chill. And I really agree with that. I mean, I would say that my energy has gone more in the direction of like ambition and maintenance and practice and the upgrade of my skill set. And I totally understand the desire to be a little less active, and a little less motivated. And I think part of it is learning how to also shift what motivates those things. Like for me, there's been in my life a desire to like be the best I can be, and sometimes when my practice slips back, it's because I realize I'm trying too hard to be perfect. I'm trying too hard to like do everything right, and I'm being reminded that might not be the path for me. There's a time for ease, and a time for softness, and a time for like embracing your imperfection. Right. And so when that happens, I have to kind of recalibrate what my practice means to me, and maybe how I address my practice. So I guess a short answer would be, when I feel how I reconnect with my practice sometimes means changing up what my practice is, so it feels like it's meeting me where I am, more than me trying to meet it where I've decided it needs to be. Right.
I like that. That's good. I feel like you utilize the different tools when you need them. And that's why you have that many tools.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying before about it being sort of an experiment. Like, what do I need right now? What part of, I've talked to people that have said, oh, my wrist I hurt my wrist, so I can't do yoga anymore. Like, why? I mean, right. I understand where that comes from. It's the idea that yoga equals sun salutations, and I can't do down dog or chaturanga, so I can't do yoga. It's like, well, there's a lot of other things that you can do that don't involve your wrist at all, or even your physical movement. There's also plenty of movements you can do that don't involve your wrist. So, when something is taken away, and maybe this is a larger theme for what's going on with us in general, when things are taken away from us that we thought were the thing, we have to develop new things. Mm-hmm. I'll find a better way of articulating that
things
theme.
Works.
Yeah. If you don't, the theme of today is if you don't have a thing, you got to find a thing.
Brought to you by Dharma Dudes.
Yeah.
Fair.
But does that make sense? Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
We are all being, it's like swap out practice with socializing. Swap out practice. Right now we're being forced out of being able to do the things that we thought we needed to do to be ourselves and to function. Mm-hmm. And so for those of us that are willing to look for new things to do or new ways to find fulfillment or to connect, it can be kind of an exciting time of like novelty and newness. And for those of us that are grieving the loss of the thing that we thought we needed, it's a time for grief. And that not that there's like two camps. It's probably all of us to some degree.
Right. Yeah. Everyday shifts too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fair. Let's take another question.
Oh.
Let's
not all at once, guys.
We can't handle the
whoa for all of our listeners on the podcast. There's just
our servers are crashing. There's so many questions coming in.
Yeah, sorry. Instagram is broken for the rest of the day because
that was a cricket sound, by the way.
Oh, I thought that was a sound of Instagram crashing.
Any advice on resistance to teaching online or Zoom?
That was worth the wait.
Yeah, that was worth the wait. Do you want to take it?
Well, there's like logistical advice of just, well, your question is about resistance. I mean, whenever there's resistance somewhere, there's two kind of things to do about that. One is to work towards releasing the resistance, and the other is to understand the resistance.
Right.
So I think if you overly try to understand it, that's all time that you could be spending teaching online that you're instead unpacking the resistance. You know what I mean? It's like, why do I have this resistance to working out? Let me go to therapy and figure out why I don't want to work out. That's all time that you could be working out. And like, that's important, I think, to just try to get rid of something that's probably there for a reason. And it's probably there because it in some way is trying to keep you safe. So there are specific things that you can do, that I do, to work with resistance. One of those tools is EFT, which is a process of tapping along your body's meridian system while you basically cover yourself in acceptance and loving kindness for whatever it is that you're experiencing. So you could type in on YouTube EFT resistance and find plenty of videos about like how to tap through resistance. Mm-hmm. For me, a lot of that resistance as it relates to this particular topic has to do with my relationship with my inner critic. That whatever that voice is in your head that tries to keep you in your lane and tries to keep you from stepping outside of your comfort zone and tries to convince you that it's not safe out there, or that you are going to be embarrassed, or you'll be excommunicated from the pack if you show, if you shine a broader spotlight on yourself. So learning how to work with that inner critic and recognize that all of us have it. I have it every time I put myself out there. I'm sure, well,
nope, definitely don't.
Okay. So having an inner critic is definitely my thing. So if you ever hear Danny talking about his inner critic and helping people, you can be, he got that from Rocky. And the third and maybe the most important thing that I think is that you have to remember that when you put yourself out there, it's not about you. You're putting yourself out there not to put shine on yourself. That will happen. You're putting yourself out there for other people. And so to the extent that you make it about you, to the extent that you listen to the inner critic in your head, to the extent that you that you stay within the comfort zone on this particular topic is the extent that you are limiting your ability to impact other people in a positive way. I don't think people go on a Zoom call or take a class to check out how good of a teacher you are. I mean, there might be a part of that. They're going because they need some yoga. They need some of what you have to offer, and you do them a disservice by not offering it. Yeah, I mean, if the resistance is something else, that's why I say you do want to understand the resistance. It might be warranted. It might be that you don't know how to use Zoom and you need someone to teach you, or like.
So I would just I would question why are you resistant? What's the resistance? Because there's probably something there that along the lines of what you're saying, there's something there that wants to be seen and or heard, and that could be a sense of the imposter, right? Like I'm not going to be good enough to do this, or if it's an old school way of thinking of this is how I teach yoga and it's in person, that's fair too. But to understand why it is that you're resisting, I think is, if you can understand, chances are you're going to have not an exit strategy, right? But then there won't be any resistance because you understand. That's like being present with right now. There is no future, there is no past. It's just right now. So if you can understand what it is that's happening, what's coming up, if it's a feeling, well, feelings are temporary. So if you're feeling scared about it, I mean, I was pissed off earlier today and I'm not pissed off anymore, but I'm still here. Yesterday I was in really, happy, overexcited mood, and, the excitement went away and I'm still alive and still here, so yeah.
Yep. It's fine.
Yeah.
Was it, that was Teresa. Hi, Teresa. What if it were true? Yeah. That's actually what I was just thinking about when you were saying that. Is well, there's another two parts. What's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is I could embarrass myself. I could fail at this. Mm-hmm. The worst that could happen is no one's there, or that people don't have a good experience taking my class. Right. And then what? Should you never do it again? Do you get good feedback for how to do it better next time? Does anyone die? Do you die?
On today's Zoom class,
I'm probably going to die.
Yeah.
But it's fine. And it's an offering to the world. It's been really kind of delightful to see so many of the people that I, that seem to have it all together, wrestling with the learning curve of all this shit that we're trying to figure out. Right. I have gone on, very, very well-known celebrity teacher, performer, musicians live stream event that they've promoted for a week, and it has a beautiful flyer about this live concert thing that's happening. And you get on there and they can't figure out their sound and
yeah,
and
totally.
Really we are all in the same boat together. So
yeah,
you are not the only one that's going to experience technical difficulties. That's that's the norm. And yeah. And I think the last thing I would say about that is I don't know you. I don't think we know each other. If we do, I'm sorry. I see you. I know you. Maybe there's a reason that you have resistance. Maybe just because other people are doing that, you don't have to do it too. Right. So the other piece is there's a lot of stuff that you could be doing right now. There's a lot of stuff that Danny and I could be doing right now. There's a lot of different ways. I think as yoga teachers, assuming that you are a teacher, if you're anything like me, you're used to kind of being oh, what are the different ways I can teach? I could teach in a studio. I could teach privates. I could teach at festivals. I could teach retreats. I could teach teacher trainings. I could teach, there's okay, yes, I'm going to say yes to everything. And after you've done that for a while, you realize, oh, maybe everything isn't for me right now. Maybe the two things I want to really be doing are teacher trainings and private clients. And right. That's okay. It doesn't mean you should be doing all the things. And so to the extent, yes, Zoom and teaching online are the ways that we connect with people right now. But I don't know the broader context of your life. Maybe you don't need to be doing that right now. And doesn't mean that you have to. And sometimes I'm thinking of the card that I pulled a few days ago that says, that's the dimensions of a card.
Don't start with the card thing, Rocky. Don't start with it.
No, it wasn't an animal card.
Thank God.
Could have been an animal card, but it wasn't. We'll refer to the Google Doc after this.
Perfect.
No, it said procrastination can be a form of intuition.
I love that.
Just throw that wrench in there. Some, maybe the resistance is there because there's some other stuff to do first, or it's coming down the pipeline in a few days or weeks.
I feel like we got time for one more question.
I could also pull an animal card if you want.
Oh my God. You guys, Rocky and these animal cards. I should not have introduced these to you.
Danny actually didn't introduce them to me, but he did have them before me. All of my friends simultaneously think that I've stolen their things. I'm using animal cards. So they're like, I totally introduced those to you. I'm like, girl, I've been communing with the animals since before you were born.
Those are definitely mine. Let's see.
I'm seeing a thing. I'm seeing a thing just flipped in here. What's that?
The studio was a place for me to connect spiritually and emotionally with Sangha. I can't read it all though. Let's see.
What is that?
We got a little question, but I can't see it all.
Ooh, don't look at
that. Can't see the whole question.
It was from TF. Went away from me. Pietro?
Tomas, I can't see your question. I can only see parts of it, but if you want to type in the comments, you can do that. Technical difficulties, you guys. See? Case in point right now.
Like, even though I'm experiencing difficulties, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I'm doing EFT on myself.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Well, Rocky, I think this is was a hit.
Nope. we're still in this. We're not going anywhere.
Oh, we're still here. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
we're here.
Yeah, I'm actually free until about 7. So we're gonna keep going here.
We're gonna wait.
I have a question for you, Danny.
Yeah.
What do you find as someone that's transitioning your teaching online? I mean, you were teaching online before, but now this is the primary way that you get to connect with your community.
Sure.
I know you to be an incredibly community-driven human.
Handsome, tall, good-looking, stunning. Yeah.
No. I'm trying to make this about you right now, Danny. This isn't about me.
Oh,
yeah. So selfless. What are you finding to be the most kind of fulfilling ways that you're able to connect with your community right now? Because I know you also do a lot of different types of teaching. What kind of is feeling the most fulfilling to you based on what's going on? And beyond just like your work, how are you able to connect with your communities, digitally?
Teaching wise, I've really taken these Zoom classes and actually a lot of teachers or a few teachers, I should say a lot, have reached out to just ask me for advice on how to go to Zoom and like how to get things set up and what to do. And I'm happy to give it for sure. But I've invited a few people to come take my online class. And the reason why is I treat it like a normal class. I have everyone come down. I pull the camera really close when we get started. We hit play on the playlist at the same time. At the start of practice, I talk to everyone. I greet everyone that comes in. I have people say hi to each other. I have people wave, even though the boxes are in different places on everyone's different screens. But I have people say hi to each other because that's what we do every single time we start my class. I have everyone say hi to each other and, get to know somebody you don't know. And then I'll unmute certain people and, have them talk to one another, that kind of stuff. And then, I'll have people, come to the screen and, as we get started, I'll be like, all right, let's just do these 3 actions because we're going to do them later on and they might get challenging later. So let's just practice these together while we're all here and close. Any questions, open it up for people to talk. And then, we'll start practicing and Yeah, when I'm in salutations or when I'm in, if I'm doing like, let's say a ladder flows or something that builds off of something and everyone knows where they're going, I'll stop practicing and I'll get to the screen and I'll start looking at people's, alignment or seeing if people are struggling and, giving them some encouragement or seeing people are doing a great job and telling them they're doing a great job. Like, I mean, I'm there with them the entire time. Just because there's a screen between us, it doesn't mean that I'm not giving them the same time, the attention and the connection. If I was in a studio or not, I treat it the same exact way.
Yeah. What about touch?
And that's hard. Obviously I'm a big teacher, a big hands-on teacher. I'm a big facilitator on assisting and adjustments. And I love that. That's been a bit challenging, but I've had people give themselves their own assist and their own adjustments. Like sit down and press here and then extend out and then resist against that and do, what you got to do from there. Yeah. And then at the end too, we all kind of just pause and hang out for a little bit. I hang out in the Zoom room for 10, 15 minutes or how I just hang out. And if anyone wants to sit and chat for a little bit, we hang out and sit and chat for a little bit. And then I encourage people to drop their links, their Instagram links inside the chat box and say, hey, connect with some people, take a picture and tag everybody, that kind of stuff, just to keep it going. So yeah, it helps.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's nice that, I wasn't a teacher that was doing a lot of public drop-in classes in the last incarnation of my career. So it's cool to kind of acknowledge that vibe of kind of the drop-in weekly class and the community and, the connection that you're able to form there can still in some way exist in this digital way. His question.
That was the question.
It's here
the
now.
Touch part.
How are you guys managing the void of physical and emotional connection? Because you're not the same. Yeah.
The emotional connection for me is still there. I mean, I said this in class the other day. I cried at class last Wednesday. I cried at the end of class because it was the first class that I had actually had everyone do the playlist together. And, halfway through flow, I had to be like, oh shit, you're in your house right now. You're not there. You're not in the studio. But I didn't know that, you know what it is when you think about, I've talked to you this, privately, but let's talk about this publicly. I had this new practice that I do where, I'm just newly single again. And so what I decided was like, well, how can I give myself the love that I give to other people when I fall in love, right? I think about them. I think about doing nice things for them. I think about, saying sweet things. Can I do that for me? And when I close my eyes and I think about love, my body doesn't know the difference. My body doesn't say, right now I'm loving Rocky. Right now I'm loving blah, blah, blah. My body just says, right now you are experiencing love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just like you taught me, my body doesn't know, oh, right now I'm doing yoga. Right now I'm doing lifting. It just says, right now I'm taking in weight load and da, 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 da. And so the same thing with the emotional connection, when I'm teaching and I'm, in my room and I'm calling out names and I'm, back on my mat. And then I sometimes highlight someone's screen and be like, everyone look at so-and-so really quick. Let's try it like this. Or someone who can demo this for me tonight, and I'll highlight that screen. My passion, my heart for the practice, my heart for teaching doesn't know the difference. Mm-hmm. It just says right now I am doing the thing that I love and I'm connecting with the people that I love. Mm-hmm. And it brought me to tears last Wednesday. I was like trying to get everyone out of Shavasana and I just could not stop crying because I felt it. I was like, oh yeah, you're here. You're
like, save that for the shower, buddy.
Yeah. Pink cheap wine and shower time. No, I was just there. I was present. I was in the room. I was there. I was totally 100% there.
Yeah.
I didn't get to hug half those people, but we'll hug again, that'll happen. Yeah. But yeah.
It goes back to what we were talking about before in terms of like, when you think that the thing is that this is the thing, you think it's that us all being together in a studio and the sounds and smells of the studio and shit like that's yoga. And then when that gets taken away and you have to find that, there's the grief, we've talked about this. There's like, I was just talking to my partner lives in Europe. So, there's just no way to simulate what it means to be together and to touch each other and to do other things that we do together. Like there's no substitute for that. Yeah. So, on the one hand, like it's okay to grieve those things. It's okay to be, to experience what it means to go without those things. I mean, you will live. We need food, we need water, we need touch, we need connection. We need air, we need to breathe, but not necessarily in that order. Like
you breathe too?
I did.
Got it.
I'm just trying to be relatable. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, understand. Got it.
I absorb all my nutrients in other ways, but we can only go without breath for so long. So we practice pranayama. Actually, a lot of the pranayama practices, we learn how to extend the amount of time that we can not breathe. Right. That's a feature of our advanced practice, is slowing our breath or holding our breath, like learning how to change our relationship with these things that we think we need. Same thing with diet and movement and everything. But so we can go without touch for longer than any of the other things that we need, but it still is something that is going to come with its own set of withdrawals and come downs and death. And so I think understanding too, it's not quite the same, but part of what makes touch so life-giving is it releases a hormone. This is a chemical called oxytocin, which is the love hormone, which produces that feeling of being in love or feeling love. And there's other ways that you can create oxytocin. You can create it through EFT. You can create it through touching yourself, like some of these kriyas that we do, or movements. You can create it through petting an animal. You can create it through words, through what we're doing right now, through looking in someone's eyes and whispering sweet through ASMR. You can listen to. So it's again, not to say it's going to be as satisfying, but we have to get creative if we're going to survive and figure out other ways that we can produce the chemicals that we need to function in some unconventional ways. Like you messaged me the other day that, like, I know a big thing for you and for a lot of us is knowing that we don't have our voyage to the playa this year as something to look forward to.
Right.
And for a lot of us, like, that's where we go to tap into a part of ourselves that is with us all the time, but it kind of lives there. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, well, you can't go there. And so you're like, well, then I'm not going to be able to tap into that part of myself this year. Mm-hmm. And that's sad. And then you realize, that you can. You just might have to go up on your roof and blast your speakers and have a dance party and find that part of yourself in a new way.
Yeah.
And I think that there's, it's not going to be like this forever. And I do think it's a worthwhile thing for us to learn how to be a little bit more self-reliant to the things that we've become dependent on others to facilitate for us. So I embrace the opportunity, however challenging it is, to find some new creative, resourceful ways to fulfill our needs.
Me gusta, Rocky.
Oh, gracias.
Rocky, I think we're going to give some stuff away. Yeah, we'll post a little story maybe after this live. We got a couple gifts for the listeners.
Yeah, the one of the things that helps keep me grounded and sane is the Danny Yoga app.
Hey yo!
I don't know if you've heard of it. I don't know who made it, but it always pops up on my notifications every day that it's time to practice yoga.
Awesome.
And I'm like,
Aussie, huh?
I'm like, geez, we get it. That was a segue into a potential plug, but we can let it be.
Right, no, it's okay. We'll just let it die.
Just let it die. Great.
Just let it die.
It's the name of the episode.
Yeah, just let it die.
Yeah, everything's fine. Just let it die. Well, what I will say, both Dan and I have lots of opportunities to practice with us, and I know there's plenty of things in the pipeline that have yet to be announced. But I have a number of meditations that are recorded. Danny has a number of classes, and meditations as well and things on his app. So stay tuned and stay in connection with us and let us know how we can best serve in this time. I know, like, for both Danny and I, like, the way that we learn and the way that we connect and the way that we stay in community is by stepping up and helping to facilitate and teach and gather and lead in the ways that we can. And so, like, I know that we're down to continue playing that role, but we are all in this together. And it is very much informed not just by your questions on the live stream, but by your requests as well and the things that you guys need. So
100%.
To the extent that we can be of value and service in that way, we're down.
I like it, Rocky. I
just spoke for Danny. I just volunteered Danny to be a leader.
I didn't mean I like everything that Rocky said. I don't resonate with, but it's fine.
Talking about Danny's, it's a lullaby.
My evening meditation.
Lullabies are kind of my thing, but it's fine.
I checked the Google Doc.
I had it written in Sanskrit, so you probably didn't understand it.
Oh, got it. Got it. Writing in Sanskrit was my thing, though. So,
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well. You know what? Tune in next week, because are we doing an episode next week? Tune in next time,
probably,
where we will actually, if you sign up for our mailing list, we will send you the Google Doc that has all of our. In all seriousness, for those of you that don't know Danny, my sense of humor, thank you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Danny is such a kindred soul and spirit and brother on this path for me. And the reason I love him so much is that, like, his things are my things and my things are his things, and that's why we resonate so deeply with each other, and we get to continuously inspire each other. By sharing our interests to one another, which intersect in so many beautiful ways. So the ongoing bit is that Danny steals every single thing that I do, because it's true, and that I steal every single thing that Danny does, because that's true. And together we mix it and match it and blend it into a beautiful...
Just so that we're clear, to inspire people was my thing.
Let's ask our listeners. Who inspired you first in life? It was either me or Danny.
And on that note, this is Danny.
Someone did ask how we met. Should we? Okay, that's all right.
I think we're almost out of time on the live too, though. Yeah.
I think we met at Burning Man or at a club.
The Wise Assery Doc. Yes, that's exactly what it is. The Wise Assery Doc. T-Spangles. All right, Rocky. I think we're good. I think we can just crush it.
I think that's totally it. Oh, look, yeah. I inspired her first. Yeah.
Thanks, Janet. Thanks.
You did it. Thank you. All that actually means a lot. Love you, Danny.
The name of the episode is This Is Fine.
I inspired you first, but Danny will definitely inspire you last. I promise.
Until the next Dharma Dudes, it's Danny and Rocky saying peace out.
Oh, peace out. I love the music.
Loud motorcycles.
Oh, okay. Right. I thought that was dubstep. I thought you were playing us out. That's I can make dubstep with my mouth. Bye.
Okay. Good talk. Bye.
Is it over?
Now it is.
Are you going to shut this off? Okay. Bye.